Hey, Cari and I are back again today with Real Talk. And today we're going to be talking about leadership because this is a great topic that we were talking about last week that we want to continue on talking about this week. What is leadership and what is it not? So, Cari, go ahead and get us started.
I think I get excited about talking about what it's not. And I do like what it is, because what it's not are all the things that people shy away from, I think, in terms of stepping into their own leadership opportunities. They think what they need to do is what they need to do. So that's what actually holds them back. And it's what they shouldn't do. It's what leadership is not. So I was in this position in the past. And Haley, you've done a lot of leadership, not only of yourself, but of other people. And I think we both have some good personal experiences around this. But when I first got into leadership, I was trying to be everything to everyone. I was trying to have all the answers. I was trying to show them exactly what to do, make their lives easier, build their businesses for them, do all of these things. And what I realized is, number one, that isn't what leadership even is. But number two, it's not possible. And so we're setting ourselves up for failure. And number three, it's actually not helping the people you're leading, because they need to do those things in order to have their own growth. And so I slowly but surely realized that that was not leadership.
Yeah, well, let's dive into how it impacts our agents, our team members, really anybody that you're leading when you are doing everything for them, when you're coming up with the answers for them, when you're trying to fix everything for them, or if you're an entrepreneur and they're also an entrepreneur, if you're trying to build their business for them, how much does that actually jeopardize them? How is that actually serving you? And how detrimental is that in the business?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think it creates an unhealthy codependency that we don't even necessarily realize, which can create a lot of resentment and can really actually hinder a relationship. And ultimately, it is going to end in parting of ways, regardless. And so, in fact, it might perpetuate that more so, or expedite that process, because that resentment is going to build up. It's interesting, Haley, because people think that they want you to do those things for them, especially maybe at the beginning of a relationship or a partnership. As their leader, they have some expectations, and they like it for a minute until they don't like it anymore, which is pretty rapid, because what they realize is that takes away their autonomy. It takes away their growth. It takes away their learning. It takes away their confidence. I always equate this back to even,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I equate this back to like some of my parenting, honestly,
100%.
To where I was overbearing, and then my son got older and all of a sudden he seemed so unappreciative. And I was so frustrated. Like, why are you so unappreciative? I've been doing all of these things for you. And that was exactly the problem. I had been doing all of these things for him. And by the time he was 18, he was like, I don't want you to do those things for me. And in fact, I actually realized it took away some confidence that he could have had in himself, that he'd be able to do things for himself. He didn't even have the opportunity to show up for himself. And I actually took that away from him. And I think leadership's the same thing.
Oh, yes. And that's exactly what I was going to say, is that it's very similar to parenting. For those of you who are leaders who are not parents, it's just, there's so much correlation here, and so much alignment. It also, I think, takes away the other person's empowerment. And I think resentment can build, because people naturally, they want to be led. They don't want to be managed. They want to be led, and they want to be empowered, to know that they can come up with their own solution. And if anybody has done any like studying or reading about coaching, I mean, that's really what coaching is. It's allowing the other person to step into their power because they already have the answer. We do not, as leaders, need to show up and provide them with the answer, right? Yeah. So let's turn a little bit now and talk about we talked about what is not leadership, right? You don't have to be everything for everyone, because that just leads to resentment for you and the other person. And I really think it leads to burnout, because it's just not possible. You cannot be everything for everyone. That's a horrible expectation to set for yourself. But let's talk about what leadership is. And I think that I heard this on, oh my gosh, like a podcast, or I was listening to a book or something. Who knows? It could have been like John Maxwell. I don't know. But I heard this person say that you're a leader the moment that you start providing value for others. When you start contributing value into someone's life, you are a leader. So you don't have to have a title, right, Cari? You don't have to be
No,
like CEO or founder or team lead. No, you
no.
can be an admin. You could be a wife. You could be a partner. You could be an
Yeah.
operations person. You could be a real estate agent, a team lead, whatever it is. Leadership shows up in all different forms.
Yeah. And adding value is, I believe, a fundamental one. So if you as a human being just really find yourself helping other people, trying to find ways to support, jumping in and providing some value when you have the opportunity. And that could be in your community or your family or your job or all three of those things, then you already are displaying leadership skills and you already have an opportunity to lead somebody else and or be a leader of a group of people, whatever that looks like in that scenario. And, I really do think that leadership also is just really leading yourself at the highest level, because there's nothing that you can say to people that is going to get them to step up or level up or push themselves or, be willing to fail forward. Or there's no way that you elicit some sort of growth in any other person unless you show them that you are. So them seeing you do it is what's going to inspire and motivate them in their own way, because it's not going to look the same because they're a different person. And so their growth and their leadership and their self-leadership is going to be different than yours. And yet the biggest thing that any person can do, the most impactful thing that any person can do, is show up for themselves and lead themselves in the best way possible and let it be seen by others. There's that quote that says that, you were, and I don't know the quote verbatim, but the quote, the idea that playing small doesn't serve anyone. When you step into your greatness and it inspires other people to do it, it's the truth. The best leaders are the people that are just showing up for themselves, which leaks into the people around them. And the people are so motivated, inspired to do the same thing because they see someone actively doing it and they see the results. Same thing with just showing people your authentic self and talking about your failing forwards and just really showing that you're willing to be growth oriented and you're willing to take risks and you're willing to fail and you're okay with it. And adding value to other people is a leading by example scenario. So to me, leadership is just leading yourself at the highest level, adding value to other people's lives whenever you have a chance, and being open to sharing it so people can see it. And all of a sudden you will have people surrounding you or wanting to show up to be around you, and you won't even know why. And this is all they really need from you. And so if you've thought about leadership and you just don't think you have the skills because you don't have all the right answers, you don't know what to say, you haven't built all the systems, people need you to do things for them, those are all the wrong reasons you should be saying no to leadership.
Yeah. I really, really am so passionate about the idea of being authentic, this idea of showing up, being authentic and being vulnerable, because human beings they're looking for someone that they can, I don't want to say attach to, but someone that they can align with. They're looking for inspiration. They're looking for authenticity. They're looking for people who are freaking real, not someone who's fake. And they're inspired by people who can show up and just be themselves. And one thing that I've learned in leadership along the way is that I don't have to create something that is brand new. I don't have to say something that's brand new. I don't have to come up with something that's really profound or never been done before or said before, because everything that already needs to be said or done has already been said and done. So all that I need to do is take the content that I'm absorbing and internalize it, and then cast out the vision the way that I would interpret it. And there are certain people in this world who need to hear it the way that you say it, right?
Yes.
And so that is so important. You don't have to be better than or exactly like somebody else or prove anybody right or wrong. We just show up, we're authentic, we're vulnerable, and we say what needs to be said because we've internalized what we've read or what we've learned. And when we're casting the vision and we can point people and inspire them in the right direction, that is leadership in my perspective.
Yeah. And you said it beautifully, because it has all been done and all been said. And every coaching, organization, every book, every podcast, it's like we're all talking about the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're saying it in different ways that resonate with us or that feel right to us or that make sense for us in our business and our life or our perspective, or we say it through our experiences. And those are the things that relate to other people. Those are the ways that we can find the people that really align with us. And so that is why, by the way, it is going to impact somebody else because it resonates with them, because it feels in alignment with them. They probably heard it a bazillion times before, but it wasn't in a way that was going to actually move them in a manner that gets them into a new action or gets them motivated or inspired. And so I always say this, and Haley, I know you say this too, sharing our stories, our experiences, our ups, our downs, our traumas, our overcoming, challenges, as well as our successes and why and how that happened, our transformations. It is so important. Like people always downplay. Nobody wants to hear about my story. Why would I be sharing that out there? Like that's a waste of time. Who cares about me? By the way, that's your ego saying that because it's trying to keep you safe from being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. And yet every single person's story or a situation or experience absolutely has the ability to get out there and impact a life, a business in some way, shape, or form. And that is a form of leadership. If we're willing to put ourselves in that uncomfortable position, that does add value to someone else. That does change someone else's perspective. That does maybe change a life or a business in some way. I've heard those stories like crazy. Like I heard one thing and it profoundly changed me forever. We don't realize how much impact we have as a human being. And we don't take those small things and understand them and see them as a leadership opportunity, but yet it is. And so I kind of want to round this out as we're coming to the top of the hour, which is, you and I, Haley, have been growing an organization together now for, probably about 9 months or so since we've been in business together, 10 months. And some of the people who we're partnering with have not seen themselves as leaders, have not seen themselves as someone that people would follow. They're a real estate agent. They're like, I'm just doing my business. I've never had a team. I haven't wanted to do that. I just, that's not what my focus has been. And yet they're people that show up on a regular basis for themselves and their family and their clients. They are adding value to other agents in their market. They have great relationships because they're self-leading. They're out there trying to add value, be the best version of themselves. And they are trying to level up their lives and their business. And they're doing a great job at it. And when we started to show them that that's all people need to be able to feel like they're around a leader, and it also inspires people to lead themselves. So guess what happens? You're creating more leaders around you. And the world, can't get enough leaders. So, whatever that means in your mind, we just encourage you today to maybe rethink what leadership is and what leadership is not in your own mind, right? Our perspective is our reality today. Our goal was to try to change your perspective around this a little bit so that you can step into your own self-leadership and your leadership of others, maybe in a new way, and find some of your own empowerment and your own excitement and some newfound joy, potentially realizing that you actually do have more opportunity to change people and contribute than you thought before.
Oh, 100%, Cari. I love that. And I think it does start with leading yourself first.
Yeah.
And then inspiring through one conversation at a time. Because our words are so powerful, like you said.
Words mean everything. Words are everything to us because this is how the words are what define how we think. And then how we think defines our feelings about something, which defines the way we're going to act or not act. And then, of course, what we're going to get as a result in our life or our business. So words are everything. And I would love to dive into with you, Haley, self-leadership a little bit more next week, if you're open to it, because there's some very specific things that I found helped me a tremendous amount when I was just trying to level up my own leadership. And then some really unintended consequences came forth. And I think that you've been through a certain similar journey, and that might help some people. So let's talk about that next week.
I'm writing it down this time so we don't actually forget. Yes. So self-leadership, and maybe we can even share a little bit of our own story. Because like you said, people need to hear, because when you're able to connect to someone else's story and know like, oh, they went through that. They struggled with that too. Oh my gosh, I'm not alone. That to me is so impactful when we can just share and know we're absolutely not alone. We are not alone. I can't say that enough.
Yeah. So let's start with your story, because I actually find it to be extremely inspiring, and we'll dive into it as much as you want to, but I think in as much time as we have, obviously, on our Tuesday call. And then the following Tuesday, we can chat a little bit about mine. And I think you're right. We need to lead by example in this moment. We need to reiterate our stories we have before, but this could be a very great platform to do that, because we are having a lot more followers and a lot more listeners and viewers in this capacity. So, and then hopefully it inspires you to think about what's important about your story. What could you share as well? And we'd love to hear those stories, by the way. So if you could share them with us, comment below or on our YouTube, or send us a private message or direct message us. We would love to hear your story.
Yeah, love it. Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks,
And thank you,
guys.
everyone. Bye.